guys get going, your food just got here. It's at the front door.
You guys are the CIA. He just...
You got a camera somewhere in your house or something.
All right, ready to rock? Hi, my name is Rawlston Williams, and today we're going to be making a dish that's very dear to my heart called stewed chicken and breadfruit. It's basically cooking a yard bird.
What was a yardbird?
Yard bird is actually a chicken that's in the yard. It's raised in the yard the way it should be. It's free ranging. It knows when to come home. It may go to your yard or your neighbor's yard or whomever's yard. And one day you're going to see it and it looks pretty fat and you're going to be like, I'm going to have him for dinner today. You cook the entire bird and you cook it in what's called a caramel with aromatics such as what we call here in the States Cuban oregano. In the islands we call it thyme. And then you have breadfruit, which was brought to St. Vincent and Grenadines in the 1700s by, and this is a story we're told, by Captain Bligh. But this is probably very true, that it was brought there as a cheap source of food for feeding the slaves. Stewed chicken has haunted me all my life. Growing up in the islands, I was raised a strict vegetarian. I did cook it with friends, which was kind of like a hobby for us. I wasn't allowed to eat it. It's just like a kid who's looking at another kid with a lollipop and just envious of it, you know, that kind of thing. The first thing I'm going to do is dress the bird. This application, it's not just only for like a yard bird. You can get a chicken from your local grocery and it works perfectly fine. Beef will work the same. The first thing I'll do is hit it with some citrus. We have lemon and I'm gonna do half of the orange. Usually vinegar is used or any type of citrus is used. I just like the flavor that the oranges give. Try not to get the seeds in there. I think I got one or two. In my culture, when we deal with chicken, they love to see you wash your hands on camera. Because they'll be like, oh my God, you didn't wash your hands. Always wash your hands. You're handling chicken, always wash your hands. Just mix it around a little bit. And then that's it, you're done. It'll sit there until you get your marinade going. Yeah, we have ginger, bay leaf, scallions, culantro or Chatham Benny. Culantro is very common in Caribbean cuisine. You can find it at any specialty store. Culantro, for me, it's more sophisticated cilantro. Don't attack me on that. How do I put it? It's like having a Nissan Maxima and then you have an Infinity. I don't know how to explain it. We have some thyme, a half of an onion, some ketchup, and this is, most people call it broadleaf thyme. And in the islands, we also call it tiki thyme. I don't know why. And then you have soy sauce, 4 garlic cloves, clove, allspice, and gochujang. Gochujang is something that I was introduced to here in the States. Usually this would be tomato paste, but this is a fermented chili paste, and I just find it gives it more depth of flavor. It's also kind of spicy. And then you have your vinegar. I'm gonna blend them all together, add them to this, and it's really good. Let's see, turn it on. Okay. Whew. Smells like the Caribbean, man. Spicy and floral. So I always get from the cover first. I just remember a chef yelling at me, what's in the cover? I paid for that too. I always feel like he's watching me. And then you just massage it into the bird. And in here we have everything. We have the neck. People usually fight over that. Feet, the back. The neck and the back is usually what you got after your, I guess, enslaver ate all the breast, the wing, and the leg. That looks great. And then we'll put this in the fridge to marinate for a little while. So we have our marinated chicken, and now we're gonna proceed in making our caramel. We have the garlic here for added texture. We have the carrots, the sugar, and then we have some oil there that I'm gonna use. This oil is a blend of coconut oil and vegetable oil. I use vegetable oil just to increase the smoke point, and the coconut oil, of course, that flavor, that Caribbean vibe. I have the oil. This bottle, I got this bottle specifically because it has my country's flag colors in it. Blue, the green, the yellow. 2 tablespoons. approximately. Then we add the sugar. And so now it's a waiting game. We're just gonna wait for the sugar to start caramelizing. Yeah, you have to keep your eye on it. It can go past the point that you need it to be very quickly. So now it's starting to change. Start browning a little bit. It's gonna take a few minutes. You don't want it to burn, so you stir it somewhat. See that smell? It's very, very familiar. I mean, I am laying on the bed at my house in the islands, my childhood home, totally pissed off. Because I know I'm not gonna get any of that. We're almost there. Turn it down, gently add it, you know. Start coating. I'll bring the heat back up now. Do you want all of the chicken to get covered with that browning? The onions, half of the carrots. I'm just gonna leave a little back. Gonna cover. We're gonna check to see how much has been rendered from the chicken. Oh man, that looks amazing. This is a Scotch bonnet, but I don't need it for the heat. I need it for the flavor. The going joke is, you know, as you're turning, you try not to burst it. If you burst it, then you have a hot pot, which is not bad, you know. Sometimes someone will get it in a plate and don't realize that they have it and bite right through it, which is usually funny around the kitchen table. I'm gonna add a little bit of chicken stock, maybe half of a cup. Cover it and let it cook. So probably another 20 minutes on medium to low flame. About halfway through, I'm gonna add the rest of the carrots because the carrots in there are gonna cook more likely all the way through. So it'll be a little soft. I wanna have a little crunch in it as well. I'm forgetting one thing. Forgetting salt. Salt. Salt! I'm not sure, 2 or 3 tablespoons maybe. Give it a good stir. So while the chicken is cooking, we're gonna cook breadfruit 3 different ways. 1, we're gonna roast it. 2, we're gonna steam. This one, I cut an X at the top. Usually when you do that, it helps it to ripen faster. This one may have gone a little too far. Usually when it's ripened like that, it's a little sweeter. Like this one's really ripe because it's really soft. This one goes to the goats. But I have this guy here. This is what we'll call a coal pot. You'll actually have your coal here or your pieces of wood here, and then your breadfruit goes here. And you roast it and it's great. The ashes fall down here. For this application, I cook it on the stove. And you can actually put it in the oven as well. Breadfruit, when you roast it, for some reason, it has its own natural smokiness that comes through. When I roast it on the stove, it's almost as good as cooking it here, but not quite. So we're gonna do those applications now. That's what it looks like inside. I'll cut it this way, right? And then hopefully these fit in a steamer. I think they will, right? And then to roast this, I'm gonna put it directly onto the stove, right? And hopefully it stays up. Chicken has been going for about 24 minutes. And then so now you see that liquid here. All that goodness, that fat is all from more likely the chicken back and maybe the thighs. You know, you have the breadfruit. You're just gonna use it to sap up that goodness. And usually, as a kid growing up, most people could not afford to have the thighs and the breast. They can only have the back, so they will have this with breadfruit as their meal, you know? Tastes great. It just needs a little bit more salt. But it has the flavor that I want. What's funny about this, I've been cooking for so long, but every time I make something, I'm always like happy it turned out okay. Right now, what I'm gonna do is add the rest of the carrots. See, that sneaky pepper is right here, right? I don't want it to burst, and you know what? I'm gonna take it out. Medium to low heat. Give it another 5 or so minutes, and we should be done. I'm starting to smell the breadfruit. It's a totally distinct flavor. I can't describe it to you. It smells like, it's like a reward after like a hard day's work if it has, if that's a smell. You always start roasting the breadfruit on the stem end. Well, the reason may be the fact like you need the heat to go up through the stem The way you know the breadfruit is roasted, we used to use the spine of the palm tree. Take it and stick it through the bottom or the stem part of the roasted breadfruit, like a pastry tester. Yeah, like this. You put it through, if it goes through easily, it's ready. Now we look at the steamed breadfruit, we do the same thing, we check it, it's still firm. Probably needs a couple more minutes, so it's gonna have like a texture of bread pudding when you bite into it, but it doesn't taste anything like bread pudding. Culinary school again, we're making Belgian fries. Almost like you're at a party and the music just stopped. Who put black pepper on the fries? Of course, everyone looks at me because, you know, the rule is you put salt only on it, but I want some black pepper and I think it tastes good. So that's how I knew I was not going to be good at following recipes, even my own. So that's why you see me changing a bunch of stuff. Thus the gochujang that goes inside there instead of the tomato paste. I challenge everything, and if it works, it works. Now we're gonna try and flip it. Stewed chicken is basically done. I'm turning off the stove. I need to strain the sauce and I'm gonna blend it, which is something that's not common with what we do. But it's something that I want to do because, of course, Rawlston wants to add smoke to it. Yeah, they're ready. I know when people say, like, what are you doing? I'm saving it. Don't worry. One moment. This is a smoking gun. It helps to impart smoke flavor to elements that you desire to have that done to. So I'm going to do that with the sauce, just to have a little bit of memory of home. Should start smoking now. Yeah. See that? And then you put it there. As it blends, it's incorporating the smoke in there as well. At home in the islands, you don't have to do this. It's naturally done on the coal pot, or if you cook it outside. You just cover that. This little guy is gonna be my best friend, you know. Here we go. So turn in the breadfruit. Get it blackened on all sides. I'm just gonna give it a little taste. See, it still has some residual smoke here. All right, let's see. Man, oh man, that's pretty good. Gonna re-add this to the meat. Oh man, that's good. And then I'm gonna turn the flame back on. Of course, if you're at home cooking dinner and all this stuff, you don't want to do all this stuff. For me, it's necessary. That's how I get to taste a little bit of my childhood again, you know. Usually you'll add like flour to thicken the sauce, but what I'm going to do is add some sea moss, or we call it Irish moss. I boiled it. It's become almost like a gelatin. So it blooms almost like if you're doing like gelatin sheets or something, the same thing. And the reason why I'm adding to the sauce is so that I can use it as a thickener. We're gonna mix it around. I mean, it's pretty good. So this is some fresh cracked black pepper. Turn the stove off, and that's it for the stewed chicken. All right, this is basically done. See how easy that goes through? Yeah, so it's ready. So we're gonna have breadfruit 3 ways with the stewed chicken. Steamed breadfruit here and roasted breadfruit. Now I'm going to process the steamed breadfruit first. More often than not, the shape of your breadfruit will be almost like a half moon shape. I'm gonna cut them like that. Of course, it's sweet because it was half ripened. Normally, what you do, you'll scrape it and do that. We don't have that luxury to do that here. And it's soft like that because it was ripe. And so it's probably gone a little far, but it's gonna be delicious. It's gonna be very sweet. This is one of the trios we're gonna do. This is the frying of the breadfruit. This should be really quick. You probably want it a quarter less ripe as this one, but this is what we're working with. So I'm gonna put it down in here real quick. I mean, that's my favorite way to have it fried. So good, so yummy, so good. So this is a little dark here. Got dark really quickly. Just turn it over the other side, it's better. That way, see? Now it's better, now it's fixed. That's it, that's our dish. Here we have our stewed chicken, our roasted then fried breadfruit. Then we have our steamed breadfruit, and then our roasted breadfruit, which is kind of, just looks a little ugly, which is fine. I like ugly food. It's gonna be yummy. I'm using my hands because I'm the only one that's gonna eat this, so it's fine. Ooh, this looks great. The chicken legs. Gotta get some of the thighs in. This is, oh man, everyone loves this part. The part where the feathers come out of. This is the more delicious part. It's like, not quite the butt, but it's close. You know, maybe that's why it's so tender, I don't know. But that's one of the favorite parts. All right, come and see how thick it is, the gravy. That's from the sea moss there, yeah. And last but not least, the neck. In the marinade, we have the broadleaf thyme or the Cuban oregano, which is the same thing. I kind of like dry some of them, and I dry them, and I plan to just crumble a little bit on here. It perfumes it, and it's absolutely amazing. Now I'm gonna taste it. Got a little bit of breadfruit and the gravy. That smokiness comes through. I'm happy I did the smoking of the sauce. The spiciness from the gochujang and also the Scotch bonnet. And if you're having this by the beach, you'll definitely be having like some rum punch or something. If you're making this at home for the first time, the key thing is about the caramel. You just have to make sure you don't burn it. And after that, you'll be fine. The breadfruit, try and make sure it's not as ripe as these were, but for me, it tastes better when it's this ripe. Just go for it. I should go get my flag. This is the flag of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I love my country. I love where I'm from. It's really shaping who I am today for the most part. It's the foundation of who I am. I'm Rawlston Williams. I'll see you next time. I'm never going to be at peace with this dish until I'm back in the islands, cooking it on the regular, outside in the yard or in an outdoor kitchen. And I'll always be smoking it with a smoke gun or something, like just to mimic those flavors. But it will never be exactly the way it should be until I'm back home.